Welcome to Sports Betting Podcast from pregame.com for the week of January 7th, 2010. I'm your host, RJ Bell. I'm joined by Marco D'Angelo, 30 years in the business, Vegas Shriner, genuine professional bettor here in Vegas, star of the CNBC special on gambling.
Illegal gambling.
This is segment 3 of 5 this week, Baltimore, New England. Vegas Runner, tell us about the line.
Okay, interesting move here. New England opened up as a 3.5-point home favorite with a total of 43. It sat there for about 4 or 5 hours, and all of a sudden it went up to 4. That's where it closed at the end of the day. The next day, wise guys came in and started taking Baltimore, and as of today,
Taking New England, you mean?
No, taking the dog at plus 4.
Okay.
And today we're seeing New England -3, minus $1.20. With a total 43.
Okay, well, this is interesting because I tell you this right now is I don't know what I was looking at. I glanced at this line and saw like a 6.
Yeah.
And I swear, I mean, I must have misread it, and I was thinking, man, I like New England, but that's just too much. Now at 3, well, I would have made this I had my free pick on Cincy. I love it, but man, I think that's short. I like New England.
I do too.
You got your free pick on this game.
Yes, I do.
All right, so, before we get that, well, why don't you've kind of hinted at it.
Yeah, let me get to the bottom line.
90 seconds.
Bottom line, this New England team doesn't lose at home. They're 8-0 at home this year. They're 23-3 straight up at home over the last 3 seasons. So it's very hard to beat this team at home. I think I give the edge to Belichick that they played earlier in the season. Even though that pass didn't get dropped, they had a chance to go in and possibly beat New England. I just don't have enough confidence in Flacco on the road. He's had a great season, but I think it's just too hard to go into New England and win. And getting a chance to lay 3 at -120, I think is great value. Looking at the strength of schedule, something I always do in playoffs and bowl games, New England's played the 5th toughest schedule. And during the season, when they played a team that was in the top 10 in the odds makers poll, they did go 2-3 against them, which isn't good. But on the flip side, Baltimore had the 17th toughest schedule and went 1-4 against teams that were ranked in the top 10 at the time. So I really think this Baltimore team is weak. And at 3-5 on the road.
That one win was against the Steelers?
Exactly.
With a third-string quarterback.
Exactly. And they're 3-5 on the road, which doesn't look good going in against a New England team, like I said, that just dominates at home. I like New England even without Wes Welker.
Now, and that is an X factor for sure. You make a good point, though. Belichick is renowned to do very well against inexperienced quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Now, against Big Ben, he did it, a few years ago in that championship game. Now, you might say Flacco and his second year, he's 32 games in or some variation of that, or even more in the playoffs. My point is, this Flacco's been protected, to this day been protected. I was shocked in that Steeler game a couple of weeks ago when they were running draws on 3rd and 12. Against a Steeler team who's, to be honest, whose defense is certainly above average, but not a great defense. So the question is, though he's got 30-plus games under his belt, if he's not thrown on 3rd and 12, then most of the time, or a lot of the time, or especially against good teams, does he really have 2 years of experience, or is he handing the ball off a lot?
Exactly, and that's what it is. I think Belichick's going to devise the perfect plan to stop Ray Rice and force Flacco to have to beat them, and I don't see that happening.
And we're at 3, forgetting the juice for a minute, because it's not that much at 120, is we're saying these teams are even with New England's home field.
Exactly.
I see value in New England myself. Marco, what jumps out at you?
What jumps out to me is this conversation's all been about Flacco, and the perception is that he has had a good year. The thing is, they've only scored in the last 9 games. Only twice have they scored more than 21 points. And that was against Detroit and Chicago, 2 of the worst defenses in the league. Chicago just fired their defensive coordinator. That's a big point. The first meeting, I think people are going to go back to that.
Chicago fired I think they fired their offensive coordinator, but they're taking the defensive play calling duties away from Lovie Smith, who he was DC. But there was a transition on D for sure.
Right. The other point that I wanted to make is in this first meeting, although Baltimore lost, and we talk about that drop pass that they could have won the game, Baltimore caught New England by surprise in that game. Flacco threw 47 passes against New England. They weren't ready for that. He throws more than 35 passes this week, they lose. They're not. They're going to be prepared better this time around for Baltimore.
And this Baltimore team, 3 times they've had chance to get revenge this year. They've only been able to win one of them, and they never covered. So it doesn't look to me like they're able to make the correct adjustments and then
So
come
they're
back.
0-3 ATS in revenge spots.
Yeah, and 1 and 2 straight up. So that tells me their adjustments haven't gotten the job done, and I don't think they're going to have the adjustments to get the job done against Belichick.
And going back to those 47 passes, it wasn't like that was a lopsided game.
No, yeah.
And that Baltimore had
Had
to
to
throw
pass,
that
yeah.
many. That was their game plan for whatever reason, and it did catch New England by surprise.
So the X factor is Welker, clearly.
Yeah, for sure. Now they could concentrate on Moss a little more, put a little more double coverage there, I think.
So what would what's he worth? A point and a half?
That's what it looks like.
All right. So what if someone says, "Hey, I like New England at 3, except for Welker being out"? What's your response to that?
I think because of the Welker being out, we're now getting line value. Because I don't think he is leading the team, I think, in yardage this year. But I think you could put someone in that spot that could get the job done for this.
See, I'm not sure I agree with that. I think...
I mean, he's a great receiver. You're not going to replace him. I'm not saying going to replace him. But I don't think he's worth 1.5, 2 points.
Yeah, and I'm a fan of Bill Simmons, the ESPN guy, and he's a huge Patriots fan, and he's been preaching this year the Welker is the MVP of this team.
Yeah.
Even more so than Brady. I think it's a huge loss. I think what makes me like your pick here, though, is the fact that Belichick is so qualified to come up with an alternative plan. And it is a huge loss, but there's other ways to win. I mean, who knows?
Brady.
Not that it's going to happen, but New England might come out in the single wing. I mean, you just never know what Belichick's going to do.
And it's not like Brady, one of them type of quarterback receiver combinations where he just throws it as far as he can, and this guy's such a great receiver, he gets under it. Brady delivers the ball to him, and he's a possession type receiver, and that's where I think they'll be able to fit someone in to be able to take a little of the weight off of Randy Moss.
Would you rather, this is an interesting question, and I'll ask both of you, I'll start with you, Marco. You have a lean towards New England then?
I leaned to New England in the game, yes.
And we're taping on Wednesday, but if you could lay 3 without Welker or 4.5 with him, what would you do if you had to play New England?
I would take the New England in the 3.
So you think this adjustment, if we're assuming 1.5 for Welker, is a little much?
It is.
Especially, remember, all points aren't created equal. Coming down to 3
exactly
is a huge adjustment.
Myself, I'd definitely rather lay the 3 minus 120 without Welker. For sure, no doubt there at all. I don't think he's worth, as like I said before, I just don't think he's worth that many points. And more importantly, I think him being out gets the team a little more motivated to bring their A game. You're going to bring it anyway in the playoffs.
Is there a flip side to that, though?
But I think it's like now we really got to show up. We're missing our main MVP.
Which is one of your theories, which is always the first game after big injury,
right.
There's a Herculean effort. But is there a flip side? The fact that he got beat in a borderline meaningless game,
right?
Or not the fact he got beat, but he got injured, is that going to cause psychological problems saying, Jesus, we were so close, why was he in?
Well, I actually was going to say, when you said the word motivation, let it be known, just like you said, New England did play to win last week. They had something to gain, but it wasn't life and death gain, and they still played to win, and I like that. And the injury to Walker was a non-contact injury.
I think he's talking about Wes Walker from back
Herschel.
from the Jets back in the 80s, right?
Herschel Walker.
Either way, it was a non-contact injury. He just blew his knee out. It could have happened in practice.
Marco's going to be great because he doesn't pronounce words particularly well at his age. Imagine in his 60s the way he's going to be mispronouncing stuff.
I'll still be picking winners, so that's all that matters.
You'll be like De Niro at the end of Casino with the big, thick bottleneck glasses. Yeah. All right, good stuff. Next up is our another big game preview is the Green Bay Arizona game on Sunday. And remember, you can get all of our videos at pregame.tv, or if you want to download and listen, just go to iTunes and search for pregame.com.